Well, good morning again on this Labor Day weekend, and it is that time, I guess we start football season, don't we, and school's back in session, and hopefully it'll get a little cooler. We've been hot, but get some rain. But I hope you can kind of think with me for just a few minutes, really, about Labor Day. So kind of a thoughtful thing for just a few minutes this morning, because it's really important. It is a national holiday for a real reason. It's at the center of life. Work is and jobs are. Let me tell you about a friend of mine that is just kind of one of my illustrative kind of signposts, a piece on my journey. I have a good friend who's retired. Some of you know her. She's a parishioner at St. John's. And she was a 40-plus year career nurse in GI nursing. So she took care of people who were very ill, that had colostomies, post-colostomies, facing surgery. People are really, really struggling. And I just admire her so much because she always thought of her job as a calling. And I don't want to push this too much, but a lot of her job was unpleasant, to be quite honest, something most of us would not want to do. And she could do it willingly and easily. And, you know, she thinks of her career as like a mission, that she was about something that improved people's lives. And really, almost I would say that she almost has a sense of a noble kind of endeavor about the work that she did. It may be kind of big, but it really is such a signpost for me about that. Because, you know, the other extreme are people who don't like their jobs, who complain a lot, who think that jobs and work are an interruption to life and the flow of the things they want to be about. And, you know, that's kind of just part of what it is. It's not very fulfilling. But let me be clear. I got your attention a little bit to try to paint the extremes, but I don't think most of us live in extreme places. That's one end and the other end. I think most of us kind of live in the middle somewhere. So I'm not trying to put anybody down. I think all of us have jobs that are time kind of ethereal, like music. Sometimes music is probably work and not kind of drudgery. It's the practice and that kind of stuff. All of us have all of that in it. You know what's interesting about research, and I hope you'll hear this. If you don't hear anything else I'll talk about, think about something smart, way smarter. And I'm a statistics guy. I'm a medical guy. I'm a research guy. I'm a modern guy. I believe in all of that. I think it's held us up. It's made education and all of our institutional life stronger. But listen to the research. It's voluminous and it's clear what it says. When they study people and families, the people who have really accumulated wealth in our society in America, the people who have bought homes, educated their children, had a retirement, kind of were able to settle in, had a good life, thought of a good life. What's interesting is those people were not the people who had the kind of glamorous, wowie, zowie, very big paying jobs, believe it or not. They were the middle America, the working people, often very successful in what they did, often took their jobs into a business. But those are the people probably who have anchored our society, particularly since the World War II. But also the research says that they have a way, when they talk to these people, and you may be among them. I grew up in one of those families. There's a sense of balance and proportion and thankfulness, and a high investment in work, but also something else. A really high investment of several other things that are key. One of them, they live by their means. Not joking. Pay their bills. So just saying, we all know that. It really is a sticking point for us. Secondly, that they have something that balances, that they go to work kind of almost as ritualistically a way to serve their families and the people they love and their community. They see themselves leaving at 6 in the morning, 4 in the morning, whatever they're doing, that is a larger piece than just going to work. And thirdly, this is really interesting to me. They really do keep a balance of life and work. And I own that I've always been out of proportion, so don't ask me personally. I advocated and haven't practiced it well. I've worked too much sometimes. But I do know one thing, that those elements are keys to how work is successful in our society and important. How would we not talk about labor in church? This isn't secular. What's one of the first stories in the Bible? You want to try Garden of Eden? And what's the story? They left and went to work, and it wasn't happy. You remember? It was a curse. It was a curse. Well, it's a little tongue-in-cheek. Tom does a great job with the Old Testament in that part particular. He has he's done some studies, some Bible studies. Really, they're really good. And I'm making sure he's paying attention so he doesn't leave. Because he has to do the next part of this, because I'm going to sit down and smoke and drink a cup of coffee. No, here he is. He's back with us. Okay, he's listening. I called his name.
Don't drag me into this.
Don't drag me into this. Yeah. He doesn't want anything serious today. Okay, don't drag it. But it's really an essential piece of who Jewish people and Christian people are, is the whole notion of work. It is part of it. And think about today where we are in society. And then I'll quit preaching at you and talk with you. We're post-COVID. And hasn't it done something? Do you know an institution that has enough labor, has enough people working? I do not. Everybody seems to be shorthanded. Everybody's jobs are more. Their jobs are bigger. They do more. They work more. I hear this constantly. And I'll tell you the other key is this little machine right here. This little devil right here. Hate it. Do you know what young people tell me? Some of you younger people, and I want you to hear me because I listen to you, is I'm tied to this. My work now is 24/7, and when my boss calls, I answer. When someone needs me, I respond. Now, some of you have those jobs. I do have one of those jobs. When you call, I promise one of us is going to try to call you right back. But not everybody has one of those jobs, but everybody experiences that with this device. Technology has given us a great blessing. It has also given us that as something to hang around our necks and carry along. We are a 24/7 society all the time, and work is now part of that. So, what do we say about all this? What do we do about all this? I do think if we step back a little bit, we're going to look at our society and realize that in a society that is born and birth and continues as a free market, capitalist enterprise, that work is essential. Success at work is what makes this engine run. Don't be deceived about that. Either we support work or we die by the work. And we need to support families in work evermore. I promise you, we hear it constantly as clergy. I bet you do as parents and grandparents and great-grandparents, right? It's an important factor. We work, Americans, and there are a few other cultures, Japanese and others, work more than anybody else on the planet. Not a bad thing, but it's a real thing and something to think about. So maybe on this Labor Day, we just slow down a little bit together and just think about what you think about work and jobs. What do you think about how things are? What do you think needs to change? What can you do about that? What can you advocate about that? And not be lazy, because your work in that is the same as your work at your work. It is for the common good, the larger good, for us to provide something that is a platform of good thinking about our jobs. And so here's my short list on Labor Day. It always is. Why don't you take a little extra time today to be thankful for every job that's done? Don't just do it in your mind. Do it the way you go about your life. So thank the people around you for the next couple of days. Thank the waitress. Walk out, because I promise you, we get a garbage pickup, or is it recycling on Monday. Do you know tomorrow our recycling guy will pick our stuff up? Do you know what I do? I promise you, I'm not kidding. I'm not making myself wonderful. I challenge you to do it too. I go out there and thank him. He just looks at me. He says, well, thank you. He has nobody come out and thank him. And I thought, God, why haven't I always done that? Like I'm going to do my own recycling? Of course not. But everybody, think about the jobs you don't think about. Can you take care of them yourself? Of course you can't. We have to, all of us have those jobs. Every job is important. That's a theological point, by the way. That's a spiritual point. That's not some toss-off, some progressive, left-wing Episcopalian talking. That's our society. Every job is important. When did that stop? We need to do it again. And also thank the people who we often pay the least and have the hardest jobs. Like our young policeman. When you leave, thank him. He's one of the greatest guys on the police force right today. His son's a police officer downtown. You know these people, our teachers, our nurses. You've been sick. I was recently, had to go to the hospital. Thank God those people were going to work on a Friday night late into the evening when I was in feeling so bad. We need to be about that. Think about our military. They're out there doing dangerous, hard jobs all the time. That's where our society needs to regroom itself. We can do this. But it starts with people like you and me. And it starts on Sunday. It doesn't start on Monday. It starts with the way we orient ourselves to life. And be honest with you, I think that's really what spirituality is about, right? How we're oriented to life and to other people. You know, I didn't read it. I should have, a little piece from the book of James. So now that I skipped it and missed it, I'll read it now. So James says, someone will say, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith apart from your works, and I by my works will show you my faith. For just as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is also dead. You see, going back to the roots of a conversation for all of time in spirituality, in the Jewish world and the Christian world, is faith and works are sewn together. One cannot live without the other. We all know that. Your good works, both the things that you do charitably, but I would also say the way you do your secular job is also part of your faith. And the James community in the first century was really trying to grasp that. Let's not pull those apart. Let's not turn work into money. It's more than that. It's so much more than that. Everybody needs to work. That's my rule. Everybody needs to work because it is human for us to work and then to have some way to be productive. I'm talking to you because you're smarter than I am. Is that not true? It is true. We know that. So, you know, one of the things that we can do about our work is simply see ourselves as serving other people. When you do some task in the next couple of days, remind yourself actually who you're doing it for. Maybe you build your career, okay, but you're doing it for someone. Someone needs you to do that job. I'm going to leave you with this great quote from Khalil Gibran. He wrote this before he wrote Around the Little Prince. Work is love made visible. Work is love made visible. And we're in the business of giving people the reminder of God's love and God's grace. Happy Labor Day.